I'm Jamar Cobb-Dennard with Reachmore, and I'm the Vice President of Business Development.
What does that mean on a practical level? What do you get paid to do?
I get paid to find us new clients and build a sales team.
Good deal. Awesome. Okay, so when you are building your sales team, where do you go to find qualified candidates?
The best place for me to find qualified candidates, there's really four. First is social media. So I have a network of, I don't know, 2,000 or so people that are following me on social media.
Define what social media specifically you
Facebook,
use.
Twitter, those are the big ones. Smaller Indiana is another one, but I don't employ that one as much. Actually, Smaller Indiana was really big for a search that we did about 6 months ago. But yeah, putting something out there, and I know 80% of the people personally that are on those networks, so I'm able to get really great personal qualified introductions to good candidates.
Social media.
Oh, that's right. I
i.e.
said there were four.
Facebook, yes.
Okay.
So you use Facebook, Twitter, and Smaller Indiana
Right.
on social media. Okay.
So those three in social media. The second one is Craigslist. I actually found, and I didn't think Craigslist would be a good place to go, but my role before this one, I found a $50,000 job on Craigslist. Like randomly, I posted my resume up there, and I was looking for, I don't know, an air conditioning system or something that I was going to buy. It's like, oh, I'll just throw my resume on there. And then I get this call from a company in Castleton, and I'm their training manager like a month later with a, solid salary, great benefits. And I was like, Craigslist, huh. So then, since I was on there posting my stuff and got a good job, there's other people that are out there. I have to sift through some stuff to get what I need, but there's quality, and there's a lot less traffic, and there's a lot less post it and forget it type people that are typically found on Monster and those types of sites.
Right.
The third one is job fairs. I always love meeting people face to face. I get a much better impression of what actually comes off the paper from a resume than I would just from getting a resume. I've been really surprised a lot. I've interviewed probably 1,500 people over the course of the past 10 years. And I'm sometimes pleasantly surprised and sometimes unpleasantly surprised at the people that come in after I see this resume that's like formatted really well and the nice thick paper with the little flecks of color in it. I'm like, oh, then it's really detail oriented and compassionate and right brain. They come in and they're completely not what the impression that I got from their information. And then the last one are current contacts and clients. Our clients know exactly the type of person that they'd love to interact with in our business, whether it's a office manager or a new salesperson. And our contacts know us really closely as well too, personally, as well as how we conduct our business, how we conduct our lives, and the culture that we want to create. And they're some of the best at pointing us in the right direction into people.
Awesome. Good. So when you get all of these resumes, you meet all of these folks, you send stuff out into cyberspace asking for referrals.
Mm-hmm.
How do you select candidates to bring in and conduct an interview with?
Mm-hmm. So I've read, there are two schools of thought on this, and I've read a couple different articles, and I'm sort of in between both schools of thought, so I take both into consideration. One are their past accomplishments, because somebody isn't going to miraculously change their behavior over a 5, 10, or 15-year working period. If they've been job hopping for 10 or 15 years, they're probably going to leave me and job hop just like they did before. But if they've had a track record of success, there's less doubt in my mind that they're going to continue having that same track record of success.
Sure.
So I do look at their past accomplishments. I do look at the culture fit, especially if I'm able to meet them face to face, or if I'm connected to them through social media. I can tell what type of brand or message that they're sending out through the types of things that they post. And then the third is their future goals, and sometimes I'll get that from a cover letter. Sometimes I'll get that from an initial phone interview. Sometimes you can even tell from what somebody's doing with their resume and the type of work that they've had and the progression of it, the types of things that they'd like to do next. And so I really take all three of those into consideration.
Okay, good. What are the deal breakers for you?
Deal breakers. So there's two. One is culture fit. We can train skills, but if somebody just doesn't jive with us, then I spend 60 hours a week here. So I'm 60 hours a week with people that I don't at least like being around. I don't have to love them. We don't have to hang out after work, but like at least get together, and not get together, but work well together and get along. So that's really important. And then the second one is profile fit. So we use a couple of different personality profile tests, and those aren't 100% part of the decision, but they're something that supports a decision that we make to the positive or negative. So if we're hiring somebody for, say, an office management position, but they're really somebody that loves to be in front of people all the time, they're a high driver, but they're really low on the organization and steadiness side, I'm going to think twice about hiring them for that type of position.
So what I'm hearing you say is that there's nothing, your deal breakers don't have anything to do with something that a candidate can control. You're talking about personality, behavior styles, things that are just innately who they are. Is that right?
I don't know if I would say yes, that they can't control those things, but...
In other words, they can't come in an interview context and fake...
Right.
For example, I could cover up a tattoo,
Uh-huh.
which may or may not be a deal breaker for you.
Yeah.
But I can't cover up that I'm a low D, high I, or whatever on the disc profile.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. The question, and I agree with that, yes.
Okay. Okay, good. So how do you've spoken to both of pieces of this next question. How do you weigh cultural fit versus required skill?
So cultural fit weighs more heavily than required skill. Part of the reason I say that is after interviewing that massive chunk of people over time, I've also seen something else really funny that happens, which is people with great backgrounds and great skills, I'll end up hiring them and think they're going to be the best thing ever, and then they end up being a complete dud. Then there's other folks that have no experience, but they have a really great personality, really great goals, and they seem to be a really great culture fit. We hire them, they absorb the training really quickly, and they're the best thing ever. And so I've just learned not to rely solely on skills, but to take the whole package into consideration. The other thing, too, that I hope candidates do as they're looking at us as a company is really thinking about what they want in a company. And if they don't see it with us, then they either say no to the interview or they don't continue on in the interview process. And having a really clear vision and clear picture of exactly what they want and continue to go through the interview process until they find it. Because the culture fit for them is just as much important as the culture fit for us.
How would you recommend to a job seeker, specifically for you, to uncover what your culture really is? How does someone on the outside find your organization and say, I want to be a part of that culture?
So, just to make sure I hear what you're saying correctly, it's how do they clearly identify what our culture is as a company?
Yeah. To
Okay.
see whether or not it's a culture they would want to be a part of.
Yeah. So I would look at the message that's being sent by the marketing materials. How do they feel? What experience am I having from those marketing materials? Do they seem upbeat and fun? Do they seem old and kind of stodgy? Do they seem really creative and unique? There are different messages that those things give off, and that's the type of image that a company wants to portray. And the type of image that it could portray within the culture internally. The second thing is I'd look at and even down to the type of clothes that everybody's wearing. So for me, I really like to look nice every day I go to work. And at my last position, I got made fun of almost every day because I wore a tie to work every single day. And the CEO didn't wear a tie, the president didn't wear a tie. I was the only one in a shirt and tie every single day. And most of the people that were my employees were wearing jeans and sneakers and what have you. Now, most of them weren't following the dress code where we were, but that's just what they wore. So it wasn't the best culture fit. I'd also listen to the type of language people use. In some work environments like me, I don't really like to be in a work environment where a lot of harsh language is used. Not that it never happens, but it's just not a norm. Whereas some other places, say you work for a trucking company, and that's just how things go, you know? So listening to what people say, what they do, the experiences and stories they're sharing, what perspectives those things are coming from. There's another boss I had during an interview. He told me about the fact that he got into a fist fight with somebody when he was in his 20s. And that should have been a red flag, but I was 22 and I just wanted a job. And so after getting there, he was very combative, he was rude, and he was a really tough guy to deal with. Should have been a red flag during the interview to say, somebody that gets in fistfights in their 20s probably isn't somebody I want to work for. So listening to some of those things as well will be really helpful.
Thanks. You've given one tip that you wish job seekers would know. Is there anything else that you really, in your experience of interviewing folks, what's something that you wish job seekers knew when they came to the door?
Yeah, the other thing that I'm really passionate about is this answer, is that I wish job seekers would be confident in selling themselves in an interview. I don't want to hire somebody that's not confident in their own skills, because we hire autonomous employees. We're not going to micromanage people, and we want to be able to train somebody and teach them how to think around the job that they're doing, and then let them go so everybody can use their specific talents. And so if somebody can't sit here in a 30-minute interview with me or a 15-minute interview and tell me that they're the best at what they do, that we'd be better off for hiring them, and these are the X, Y, Z, A, B, and C reasons why, like that's the kind of thing where I'm like, ooh, yeah, I want that person, right? As opposed to, I'm not sure about Susie, she didn't seem very confident. So I really want the people that are focused, that are confident, and aren't afraid to show it to me, because that's what we need in our team.
And from knowing your organization, that mirrors your culture. That is the type of people you and CJ both are, and that blends very well with your organization.
Yeah.
I can see how folks like that would be just a natural cultural fit for you, like you find them fun. That's awesome. Okay, that's it.
Sweet.
Thanks.